now listening to the Sneaker Rocks.
Oh shit alert, Louis clothes, call it when existence, Louboutins and Gucci shows. Well, I guess that goes my Louis shows, more oh shit.
Yo, what's up, Detroit is definitely in the building via headphone stereo speakers. Of course, this is your man's the African Caesar, and this is the Sneaker Box show. We got semi-full house. Of course, we got the contrarian of the show, Geeno.
Yo.
And then we have the deacon of the show, Guru.
What's going on?
Yeah, a lot to get into. We got a lot of This Week in Stupid stories that I really want to get into. Somewhat mundane news about Puma. Started off slow, but they actually ended on a good note. But what I've seen lately, though, is a lot of stores or brands, because I've even seen some retailers do this, where they defied expectations as far as like profits in 2024, but they're kind of they're lowering expectations. You know, what's the saying where it's like,
there's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
like make small promises but deliver big.
What's that called? Under the promise, over deliver.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what it seems like a lot of brands are doing this year, especially with not knowing how the economy is going to turn out with, you know, who in office.
He sucks! Hey!
So it's, I don't know. 'Cause I seen Puma, they kind of implementing this strategy. Dick's Sporting Goods, who, by the way, I kind of want to get into it later. They got this new type of store coming out where I don't know if they've already unveiled it in certain locations. It's like the House of Sport or something. But it looks pretty dope. Like basically it looks like a Lifetime Fitness, but with retail.
I mean, I feel like that makes sense. It almost
makes
feels
a lot
like
of
it's
sense.
about time.
You know what it reminds me of? The Nike store we went to in Miami, where you got to test the product.
There's some Foot Locker stores that got that going on in some of their power stores.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like some of them had treadmills. A lot of them like having a little court where you could do drills and stuff like that. But that's that type of thing is not really new because there used to be a store in Birmingham, Alabama. I forgot what it used to be called. That's what the one I went to. It was, I forgot the name of it, but they actually had it where you get to try the shoes on. I mean, I remember this had to be like 98, 99. They had like Gary Payton's, Pippen's, everything. You try the shoes on, and then you go in this room. It was like a basketball court, like a half court, and you do your shots in them and stuff like that to see if you like them. So the business model, that type of model isn't new. They're just kind of more so bringing it back.
This was in Birmingham?
Yeah, Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, my dad.
What
NAACP
event was you going to?
It was like, what you mean? I mean, I got to advocate for black since you're selling the white, so.
Got him! Got him!
See, man. You got to check the return policy.
You had to have known it was gone.
No, I know. I was waiting for it.
Yeah,
I teed him up.
But
I just wanted to see what he was going to come back with.
It was there.
I just wanted to see what he's going to come back with.
But no, that's understanding kind of more so bringing it back. I just don't want people to think like, oh, this is brand new. It's actually actually a box store. It was a very big store that actually had that model.
Why am I thinking about the store in Atlanta? What's that one store? I want to say Wally's, but that's not it. Walters. That's what it is.
Walters was like Puffer Reds for Atlanta.
Yeah, they closed though, didn't they?
Hey, that's one when Nike started taking them accounts away. I think that was one of the people. I don't know how you give them that black and blue shoe. Like you get that one Jordan 1 to 3 stores, and then a couple years later, you're like, oh, yeah, let's take all your Jordan accounts.
Yeah.
Or dial back. I think that was not the.
Well,
that wasn't.
It was a different regime.
He
too,
thought
though.
it was going to work, right?
You son of a bitch.
It would have worked if they didn't do dumb shit. I never advocated for the boutiques getting their shit taken away. I advocated.
Well,
I
if you do
understood.
direct to consumer, that it'll affect the boutiques and the large stores.
It would affect the boutiques more. 'Cause, I mean, they're smaller. They can't. What other reason are people going to the boutiques for?
I understand that. What I'm saying is, when they started doing a rollout. They started pulling in stuff from like a DSWs and all those other places, and I understood the logic behind that. You know what I'm saying? Like overall, the direct to consumer argument was it made sense in the sense of, okay, 100% instead of 50%, you know, because if people are going to buy these shoes, they could buy from our website. Y'all made the argument that brick and mortar, you know, well, you still need brick and mortar for the marketplace, which I agree. Like, you still need brick and mortar. So it's like they were also, when they was talking about doing direct to consumer, was also building out what they call them community stores, which pretty much are outlets. I mean,
Yeah, and then
you
they
know,
slowed
down on that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was part of the problem why that didn't like work out. COVID kind of threw a wrench into everybody's plans. And I think it's not so much what you do as how you do it too. Because even with the boutiques, like they would promise them product and then renege, like especially right after COVID, because everybody's trying to recoup those losses. So a lot of shoes that those boutiques were already promised, Nike reneged on and was like, "Nah, you're not getting those now." And so, and it was just the rollout for all of that stuff. You know, and this was under the John Donahoe regime too, by the way. So, you know, I don't want it to be tied to the, is it John Elliott?
John Elliott, Tim Elliott, some Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Like, I don't know. Elliott.
Eli.
Yeah. So, you know, we in the, he's like the Triple H, like Vince McMahon left, and now he's like Triple H.
Ooh, I don't know. Let's not give him that much credit or that little credit. Whichever way you want to look at it.
You can make an argument for either or.
I guess it kind of, to me, I feel like, I guess my perspective of it was a little different, seeing that while we was inside, Nike's releasing those Flints and all those other Jordans, and then they were selling out fast, and then the Last Dance came, so that boosted the resale market of those shoes that were previously released before, that people started to have this out of nowhere affinity for, right?
Yeah.
So because I was still at Foot Locker, when we opened up, it was like we were selling stuff nonstop. We couldn't keep product because people were in the house for so long that they were ready to go, and it was and it still is like that, you know. To
the
this
PPP
day.
loans too.
Yeah, so it's still to that day. So Nike thought,
seriously, I think that's such an underrated element of that whole thing. Like, a lot of people took advantage of that PPP loan stuff because like stuff was just selling for no fucking reason.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to be fair, it did help boost the economy.
It did.
Technically,
it did to some degree.
Yeah. It shouldn't have, but
yeah, no. But I mean, to Guru's point though, I think, like, for example, right? Like, I think if they did, like, direct to thing is driving me crazy. Direct to consumer,
he coming for you
for the, like, if they did direct to consumer,
look over, you're gonna see that mask over there.
Let's see, you playing. If they did direct to consumer for like the big releases that we know are going to sell out, then yeah, I can kind of understand that because that's a guarantee. Now for the smaller product that people necessarily wouldn't go out of the way to look for, but like if they needed something cheap and they was in the store, those types of products, like if you would have kept that in the brick and mortars, I think, you know, if they like I said, it's the way they did it and the way they implemented it. It's not so much what you do, is how you do it. So
yeah, but I feel like there was almost no good way to do it because, you know, you kind of think about it this way, right? Like, however much money it costs for them to be able to build a community store and call it wherever, right? Like, I don't even know what the number is of how many total they have, but then the cost to be able to build them, maintain them, pay for staff, payroll, all of the overhead versus, yeah, hey, I can go ahead and take call it maybe a 60% loss versus what I could, you know, by getting, you know, 100% of it, take 60% loss if I have somebody else take care of everything else and I can at least just recoup the profit back.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much when you're a large corporation, like that's how you keep all your money.
But that's why I think they doubled as outlets. You know, like I think it was because you have your outlets and then you have your actual Nike stores.
But then the problem with that also is how you said the one you keep going back to is DSW.
Yeah.
The Nike shoes that DSW sells, they don't even sell out of outlets.
But those are probably, so if you look at the numbers, right, and this is where like all the nuance comes in. Like if you look at like the shoes that sell the most in a year, right? Like not get the most attention, but sell the most pairs. It'd be a lot of shoes that be at DSW. Like I think this was like a few years ago. We did like the top 10 Nike shoes.
Yeah, I remember it was
and
the
none
one
of them-
shoe. It was the one shoe that was like a the shoe that I think all of the nurses
Yeah,
and
it was like
doctors
some
said
type
that
of-
they will wear.
Yeah.
By the way, your husband's testicles have migrated.
Migrated?
We'll let you know as soon as we find them.
I understand that, but again, how many total community stores are there, right? Like, and I know we don't know that answer.
Yeah.
Versus, look at all of the different brick and mortar and online sales you can get from a DSW, a Dick's Sporting Goods, a Kohl's, Target.
No, and
like,
I agree with you. I'm saying I think they were trying to mitigate both because like the outlet, so like for example, and I think outlet like Great Lakes Crossing, that's exclusively an outlet. That's all it is, right?
Right.
And then you have the actual Nike store, like at Somerset, right? And I think the community store that's in downtown is like a blend of both, whereas like you get the outlet stuff, but you get the new stuff too. And you also like when they first opened too, they were trying to hold events, just like Foot Locker tried that shit too with the quote unquote power stores,
right?
And they were like trying to do community things, and that shit tapered off because nobody gave a fuck.
Hey, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You know, that's what I think the agenda was.
I mean, again, that's one of those things where I think, like, yeah, maybe it sounds good on paper,
but once again, execution.
But that's one of those things. It's hard to execute that when, again, you got to look at how much does it cost? Because, like, okay, the example for here in Michigan, we've got how many Nike outlets do we have?
So we
like
got
3, maybe.
No, we got more than that. We got
in all of Michigan.
You got Howell,
you got
Great Lakes, and what else?
You got the ones out in Bertrand.
That's 3.
And there's probably another one. I think there's one in what's that going? Monroe. I think there's an outlet.
They closed that. That
was
was like a tan job.
They closed that.
That's closed. I drove by that a few times.
So you said that's
that whole
3.
outlet's closed,
right?
Okay.
So then
That's
you
3.
talk about how many community stores do we have?
One,
right? And then we got the one store in Somerset.
Yeah,
that's 5 stores. How many DSWs are in the state of Michigan?
So that's a lot. But then again, but once again, because should have put that. I should have added that if I know he's going to have this conversation. Because a lot of these stores too, there's a lot of stores closing in a lot of locations too.
So, no, that's true, but even like in a highly populated metro area, there's probably like in just Metro Detroit, there's probably about like maybe 10 to 15 DSWs.
I don't know about that many.
It's at least 5 in this area. You got one.
I was gonna say at least
Dearborn,
5.
You got one in like Farmington Hills. You got one out there like Sterling Heights somewhere.
You got one in Troy.
Like
you may have a couple in Troy, like Rochester Hills. Like you got because the other thing I'm thinking
5
of
and 15
too,
are 2 different numbers.
Well, but what I'm saying with that is
Metro Detroit. That's not even going out towards like East Lansing or Ann Arbor. That's
not
even counting.
But what I'm saying is like, so you think about like the idea of a shopping mall, right? Like what we consider a shopping mall, right? Like we think Eastland, Northland, Fairlane, 12 Oaks, but you also have like those what they call malls that are like just side of the road type buildings almost, strip where it's like strip malls, exactly. That's where a lot of these stores kind of like pop up at, like, and they'll be in like the most random of places where you'd be like, damn, I didn't know it was a strip mall over there, but yet the mall is like, call it 3 miles down the road, and they got the same stores.
I know.
So
I have a theory about that too.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Is so that's an easy way to sell your product, and you can completely mitigate the loss of overhead.
No, and I agree.
And that was right there.
But that was the cost benefit of wholesale, right? Like like you said, I don't have to deal with the overhead. I don't have to deal with the sell through. You know, but I still get 50%. I think, like I said, Nike, saw an opportunity to get 100%, and it worked for a while. But I think, like I said, the way they went about doing that shit, and I think COVID switched up a lot of plans too. But I think, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, like how John's mantra for Nike, like dude didn't even see them as a sneaker company.
Hey, it was a tech company.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You are a fucking idiot.
So some of the decisions, when that's your attitude, long term ain't gonna make sense.
He ain't lying.
And so, like I think, and this is why they're like going back to, Foot Locker and stuff. But even with the Foot Locker thing, they're not giving them all the stuff. Like the stuff that's like they know are going to sell, they kind of keeping close to their chest. It's like,
I don't know. The reimagined ones are still sitting on the shelf.
Message.
Which ones?
The reimagined ones.
Well, we already talked about that. They shouldn't have made so many pairs of those. Like, I don't know why.
But I mean, I guess I think it's another aspect of it because they got drunk off COVID with them selling out online, so they thought
that's true.
We can just keep this going. When in actuality, people are going to eventually go in the stores and want to buy that. Number two, a lot of the money that they make aren't off their releases. When you look at the totalities, those Truth Lights and 6 rings that I stood there and rung up myself that continuously sold out in numerous colors, Nike thought, because Foot Locker can do it, that I can do it. And then they don't understand that sometimes Foot Locker has to mark those shoes down almost $10 above cost before they can get rid of them. So yes, you sold them to them for $80, but Foot Locker had to sell them for $89 just to get rid of them. So Foot Locker took more of a loss than you could, and they thought that if I keep them, I can sell them for full price. And once they started to sit them all them Team Jordans and everything, because when you go in the Nike store, your mindset is different from when you go in the Foot Locker.
100%.
And Nike didn't understand that.
He ain't lying.
So, which is why, and then before you were telling mom and pop stores, which is why numbers can always be smoke and mirrors, because you can tell Puffer Reds, you can tell Foot Locker, hey, last quarter you bought $300,000 in Team Jordans. If you want to get these next batch of releases, you need to buy $375,000 in Team Jordans. They're gonna be pissed, but they're gonna do it in order to keep the releases, to keep the traffic in their stores. Then you go back to your shareholder and say, oh, we got this quarter, we went up 15% in sales. When actually you didn't. You just made your retailers buy more product, but that still constituted a sale because it's bigger numbers you had the last quarter.
He ain't lying.
You agree?
So like that was the thing that they thought they could do. When me and him was saying, like, you can't sell them Team Jordans and Truth Lights directly because people not coming to you, or they're not gonna go on Nike.com to order no Truth Lights when they can go in a Foot Locker. And Foot Locker called their bluff too. Like, okay, you can play tough guy you want to. Here, Reebok, we'll carry some exclusives for you. Now look at Anthony Edwards. There's certain colors of Anthony Edwards you only can get at Foot Locker. So they played the game with everybody else, and then Foot Locker
was for the conversations I had. The motherfuckers was scrambling and desperate. I don't know if they was necessarily
they didn't fold and bolter. They gave employees increases at the same time when Nike was playing hardball. They gave employees increases.
They folded. Definitely folded.
Well, I think what Foot Locker did was smart, because when you talk about stores closing,
they had no choice though.
They closed stores that made sense.
They
closed those.
And what they did was too, they took a lot of stores out of the malls. Because to your point earlier about the strip malls, because I was asking myself the question, like, why are strip malls thriving and malls dying? And I think people being able to pull up right in front of the store and walk right in, because a mall, you got to go in a certain entrance, but even then, you still might have to walk a distance.
Yeah, the mall, you almost have to plan for, like, I'm gonna be here for a couple hours.
You got to plan for a day. Whereas a strip mall, you can pull right up, right? And I think that's why they're thriving, like, because, like Somerset, right?
We were the test people. I mean, we worked at the stores that we worked at. We were the first stores that got to popping in the strip malls. You know what I'm saying? So when we worked at
we were the anchor stores.
Huh?
I said, like a Foot Locker would be, I consider, an anchor store for a strip mall.
No, but I'm saying when we work, we're not talking about
not our store.
We're not the store we work at.
No, what I'm saying is,
we're talking about after Foot Locker. I mean, I'm talking about afterwards when we went, like, the Villas and DTLRs. They got it popping in the strip malls. And when Nike saw that, and now you got this store on Grand River and Greenfield doing $10 million in the middle of the hood, then I was like, okay, people are now, because I used to tell people, I want you to just go to the mall. They got this. They're like, no, man, I feel like going to the mall. I just pull up to y'all. Y'all can just go in and get out.
The point.
So that was 2014 though.
Because think about like a place like Somerset, right? They got 3 levels, right? The Foot Locker, I think, is on the 2nd level at the end. So you got to come in the one way and then go up to the 2nd level and then walk damn near.
If you don't come in on the Neiman Marcus side, then you got to take the L to get all the way over there.
Exactly. So it's like you getting you definitely get your steps in. So that's why I think strip malls are thriving, because I could, like, to his point, I could just pull right up, bing, bang, boom, get back in my car, and I'm out.
But it took them 10 years to realize that. That's the crazy part.
He ain't lying.
There was actual data from stores.
What I'm learning about people in the industry is that, because I'm trying to be nice, people aren't as smart as you think they are. There's a lot of, like, we'll have conversations, and it's like, this ain't obvious to you.
I think there's a thin line between not being smart or not being culturally aware in the field that you're in.
Message.
And I think that because there's people who know better, right?
Mhm.
That making certain decisions. Then when you just have a conversation with somebody and be like, it's a difference between Trump and Bush. Bush was just like he really didn't know stuff, right? He was just like kind of lost at times.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
You got this one person who like knows they're doing something wrong and doubling down on it. You know what I'm saying?
Look at my African American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest?
And that's kind of what I've noticed to that. And I think Obama had put a video where Obama said, "Don't let nobody feel intimidated, because once you get in these rooms, you don't feel like you don't belong. Because once the other people talk, you're like, you don't really belong at this table, but you really got exposed, or you got an opportunity nobody else got." And that's what it's starting to come when you hear these different things and how these.
The term that I would use, I don't even know if it's a real word, but I would say it's over analytical. Everything, data. There is data to everything.
But it's not. It's not.
I know Jay-Z said it. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Sometimes them numbers can tell a lie. But it's not everything.
The number, because people are able to take those numbers and skew the context.
Yeah, you can make those numbers tell you what you want.
You know what somebody told me? He said when your numbers ain't big enough, people use percentages. Right? So let's just say I have a lemonade stand and I only sold like 2 cups of lemonade. And then tomorrow I sell 4 cups of lemonade. I'm going to say, hey, my profits went up 100%. I only sold 2 more cups, though. You know what I'm saying? But that's what people do, though. So, like, it's all about reading between the lines and stuff. And so, like, and I always tell people, like, the argument with analytics, because I think analytics have a place, but I think it's almost like it's the person that doesn't watch the game but looks at the stat sheet. Like, you got to do both.
Message.
You know what I'm saying? Because the game gives you context to the stat sheet. So case in point, like we talked about Dwight Howard a few weeks ago, right? You'll look at the stat sheet and say, oh, he ain't got no block. He ain't get no blocks this game. Or he ain't do nothing. But if you watch the game, the reason he ain't get no blocks because nobody wanted to come to the paint because he was down there. So everybody was taking these long-ass jump shots. But if you watch the game, you're able to contextualize why he didn't get blocks. You know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of times with analytics that kind of make people lazy. Like even, and that's not even just sneakers. Like I was even talking to somebody the other day about how back in the day, right? Like if you was a record executive, like you would have to be able to discern talent. You would have to look at somebody and say, okay, they're going to be something, right? Even though you had nothing to prove that, you could look at what was it called? The it factor?
Yeah,
right?
It factor and work ethic.
Yeah, right? But you could just tell, right? Nowadays, you got to damn near have a following of your own, and by that point it's like, why am I signing with you? I can just be independent and do it myself. You know what I'm saying? But like analytics have taken away people's ability to discern what is and what isn't. It has taken away people's ability to take risks, because now it's like, well, shit, I don't know if I want to do that because the numbers, you know. And so it's like, all right, you know, like I said, I think it's all about balance. I think we just keep going from one extreme to the other, and none of it is good. But real quick, I want to do this at the top of the show. Social media. Follow us on X at TSB_show. Follow us on Instagram at the Sneakerbox Show. Follow us on Facebook by looking up the Sneakerbox Show page, and then follow us on TikTok at the Sneakerbox
it's down there.
Show.
It's down there.
Make sure to check in with your sneaker comments and questions by leaving us a message on our voicemail line at 313-444-8585. We'll pick out the best messages and we'll respond to them on the next show.
The fingers you have used to dial are too fat. To obtain a special dialing wand, please mash the keypad with your palm now.
Actually, somebody asked me a question, and I never thought about it, but I'll get through this first. 5 sneaker releases from the previous week. Number 5, we have the Puma MB 04 Golden Child.
This is your Fab 5 releases as in shoes that release, or shoes that you're ranking that you like that release?
The release.
Okay.
I thought it was a decent number 5.
I just asked before I want to jump to no conclusions. I asked.
Number 5, not number 1.
So shut up, bitch.
I mean, just we want to know. That's it. I feel like Melo's new shoe is probably the worst one out of them. I think the previous 4 were really good. I think Lil Guru had like a couple pair of them, but like, and
You know what's crazy? I actually agree with you. I just think this Golden Child pair kind of.
that's the one from it's like the first model that kind of re-retro and put in
Yeah.
the go. Okay, yeah, that was cool. That was his first model, just retro. And he probably has the fastest retro ever. They did the 1, did the 2, then right after the 2, they retro the 1.
Well, no, I think this is the 4, but it's still that Golden Child theme. And I thought,
that's
like looking at the shoe, like I was like, sometimes the colorway can.
It looks it's like a plastic fin, something like I don't know. To me, it's not. They had the first 3 shoes were really good, but
it's the only colors that I liked so far, and I think it's the MB4 is the Ninja Turtle collab. But even then, I was like, they looked like those look like exclusively a kid shoe. But the gold pair I thought was decent.
probably the gold pair card has all that unnecessary textile that's on that shoe. Like, to me, that was just, I don't know. That's just coming off the first 3 shoes and your retro.
I mean, it's Puma. What else they got to do?
I mean, you was
what other athletes
doing well.
No, they could have. You know what?
What other athletes do?
I
they
take
have?
that back because like real talk, they started releasing the Ralph Sampsons and then like I don't know if they weren't selling. I feel like sometimes the brands don't put enough behind stuff,
but you
and they use that as a reason to like not continue with it.
But sometimes you gotta.
That's those numbers.
It's like making an album, right? Sometimes you need these certain records for your core audience, right?
Yes.
Like when Jay-Z made Allure, he knew it wasn't gonna go #1, but he knew that his core fans would appreciate those.
He made what now?
Allure.
Okay.
That's on Black Album, right?
Yeah.
Or Never Change. Like those aren't hit records,
song,
but those are songs for your core audience.
Yeah.
Ralph's, because I have a pair of the Ralph Sampsons. I got like 1 or 2 pair.
Yeah.
And of those Ralph Sampsons. So it's just like, and I bought Lil Guru a pair, but he outgrew his. He had like the white top piston color ones. So like, that's something you could have told, and you could have used that because his story out the Puma line kind of gets lost, and he kind of held it.
For sure, I was gonna say
he kind of held it down. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to tell the Puma story without Ralph Sampson.
You know what I'm saying? So like, that's another area opportunity for them. But to me, possibly that's what you could have like done better. You could have just rolled with that shoe. Air Monarchs is not gonna get the most media impressions. I mean, they got sales, but it's just certain shoes that. What's a shoe that with Nike we don't know why they make it, but they still make it every year. It's like the Brooklyn Court Low. It literally looks like an Air Force One version of a house shoe.
Oh yeah,
right. It's like why do y'all mix it?
I can't tell you how many times I see those shits.
Yeah, like, but it's like that's for that niche audience. Like you just sometimes.
I mean, I think you said it with like the Monarch, right?
Yeah.
like there's a certain,
but they got sales. They got sales back. They got sales to back that though. So
that's like
it's terrible.
top 5 sales every year.
Yeah. So that's like
somehow.
Yeah,
well,
so
but again, like
where I reneged on that.
Where are these shoes sold at?
What, Air Monarchs?
No, not Monarchs. What you said? The Brooklyn
Dicks and JCPenney's before that.
Yeah, probably Finish Line.
Yeah, see, not really so.
Nike.com. Yeah. You going to Finish Line, them places like that. So I mean,
I'm gonna keep bringing it back to that.
I know. Yeah. Number 4, and this one it's gonna be a cause of conversation. The Nigel Sylvester Special Edition Air Jordan Retro 4 brick by brick.
I'm gonna give me a pair.
I didn't hate this shoe, but
it seemed like you did.
No, here's let me tell you why. Let me tell you once again, context.
It did seem like you did.
No, this is what I'm.
Hey.
In the context of a collaboration, yes, and it was more so the conversations around it. What's interesting is I don't know if y'all know who Kelsey Amy is.
My mind is going.
She did all like the top PEs and stuff for Jordan Brand. She's no longer with the company, but anyway.
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
Yet to have a conversation with her about why.
She started sounding like my man off the life. The eyes that baby.
I don't know why. I wasn't there. Like I ain't no
Would it be in Nike? Who knows what they might say to her?
I was gonna say though, like I mean, listen, they cut like a whole bunch of people, and it just a lot of it made 0 sense.
To cut people and bring other people in, I don't understand that.
Yeah, none of it made sense. And to cut her, I don't know why. Like, I mean, I would like an answer to that question. But in the context of collaborations, and I've always harped on this, like I hold collaborations to a higher standard when it comes to like creativity. And like I was having a conversation with, I think it was Mayor. And, you know, I told him, I'm like, look, if I come in, like, you don't tell me this is a collaboration, you don't give me a name attached to it, and you have all this month's releases on the table, right? To me, the collaboration should stand out. It should be unique enough to where it doesn't look like every other release on that table. And I feel like this shoe will look like every release on that table. And I also acknowledge that, like, you know, maybe if we didn't have such a run of what I consider to be some of the more basic collabs, that this just wouldn't feel like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Message.
Because it's like, okay, like how many basic ass solid color collaborations we gonna get, and then let the story like carry the weight of it. Like to me, storytelling is like, to me, the shoe itself, the product of a collaboration, right? Mm-hmm. That's the steak.
Did you say steak? No, mistake. Oh, see, now you got me all excited.
Mm-hmm. The storytelling is the potatoes that go with the steak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody shows up for just the potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I like potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's like, yo, so to me, the storytelling was great. The marketing was great. So if you want to say this is the storytelling of the year or marketing of the year, fine. But I see motherfuckers saying this is sneaker of the year, and I'm like, okay. It's basically a solid, sandpaper red color shoe. You know, okay.
Well, for one, it's kind of too early to say sneaker.
Yeah, I agree.
I've seen a lot of people.
That's like saying, what's the NBA season starting in October, November? He's MVP. Like,
once again, full disclosure, some of the people that was saying this shit, maybe I shouldn't give it any stock. But still, it's
I look at sometimes that's overreaction with people. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I don't really put too much demand in it. I don't put too much demand in it.
Maybe.
But I mean, it's nothing you can say, hey, at this present time, this shoe has number one. So now from April to December, we got to see who can knock this shoe off. I have no problem with that. But just to say it's a clear-cut winner, this is a clear-cut winner, I don't agree with that. But also, too, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
The Trophy Room 17 had the same thing. It was basically two colors, right? It was all gray suede and had black and gold accents.
Mm-hmm.
That story didn't have much. Looking at that shoe, it didn't have much storytelling aesthetic to that as well. So why?
No, but aesthetically, it was a better looking shoe. Now, it wasn't just a solid gray shoe. Like you said,
the storytelling though. That's what I'm saying. The storytelling in the shoe. You saying that the collaboration?
I'm not complaining about the storytelling. I'm complaining about the shoe.
The storytelling in the shoe though.
Yeah, but that shoe was enough. The product was good. I'm complaining about the product. I'm not complaining about the story.
The Trophy Room 17 followed a darn near a similar template to his Brick 4s. It's a predominantly one color, and
it's not predominantly one color. It has a lot of black and gold in it. There is different colors in that shoe. It's not just a gray shoe. It's not like a cool gray 9 or a cool gray 11. It has a lot of black and gold.
Outside the midsole.
Like, that's just being disingenuous.
No, because the back heel, the tongue, that was gray. The only thing that was not gray was the midsole and the back strap up the top. So like that's why
it was black and gold all throughout that shoe. Like, yeah, the base color was gray, but it was hits.
What story did the Trophy Room 17 tell?
That's not the argument. That's not the argument I'm making. I could give a fuck about the storytelling.
But you saying your placement with these last run of collaborations where we're looking at that shoe, when you walk in, you should tell that it's a collab or not. You only can do that.
It should stand out creatively. Like visually, it should stand out. The story should not be, like I said, if I don't show up to a restaurant, a 5-star restaurant, for the potatoes. I show up for the steak. The potatoes are in addition to.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Yes, sir, brother. I don't have a problem with the story for the Brick 4s. That's not my complaint. Like, some things are just dope. Like, the shoe is, not every shoe needs a story, right? So if the product is dope enough, that's fine. Now, if you give me a story on top of that, that takes it to a whole nother level, right? Once again, I get the story behind it, but it's just a solid red shoe. And to sit there and act like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to paint one shoe. My daughter could have did that shit. I've seen better creativity in Nike IDs.
Whoa, you're angry.
Once again, like, we got a solid green 3. Best part about that shoe, heel tab. We got a solid cream 3. Best part about that shoe, the heel tab. We got a solid black 3. Best part about that shoe, the heel tab. We got a solid red shoe. Best part about that shoe, the heel tab. So, like, we getting a string of basic ass solid color shoes, and I'm supposed to applaud this shit as like the peak of creativity. So yes, it was a creative story, it was a creative premise, but as far as the shoe itself,
well, at what point
I've seen a red 4. Like, why am I getting excited about this?
Well, what point do you start to, if you notice the same pattern with different collaborators, at what point do you start holding the brand more accountable than the collaborator?
I'm giving them both an F. Like, look, like it's like a group project back in school, right? There's always the one kid that ain't did shit, and there's always the kid that basically carried the group. Guess what? Y'all all getting the same grade.
But if the collaborator,
both y'all names on this shit.
But if the collaborator was giving guidelines, or you came straight too far off,
because I can't because I'm, once again, without knowing whose input and how much they held them back, they probably did hold them back.
But we had the similar experience though, so I could see you lean. It's more way to lean one way.
That was different. Well, that wasn't a full blown collab.
But
that was
if they got the same, if they darn
that was essentially Nike by you, but charging you $10 more.
Cool, but
like that's what that was.
So if they gave us, who don't have a huge, like, we're not on their label far as famous celebrities.
I wouldn't equate. I would not equate what that was to
no, I'm
what
saying
this
they gave us more. Our shoes were allowed to give more color in our palettes or more creativity to do.
No, they didn't. They gave us this. They literally gave
your
us.
shoe and my shoe had more color than this Brick 4.
They
correct?
literally gave us the options that they had available on Nike ID. Anybody could have made them shoes, and I made that point. That's why I didn't go hard for that campaign, because I was like, it ain't like y'all gave me other options. Y'all literally gave me the options that anybody could have made my shoe and saved themselves $10. So why am I going to go out here and promote a shoe for $10 more that they can make themselves for $10 less? That makes zero sense.
But what I'm saying is that, seeing that,
but I wouldn't.
J Balvin 3 was predominantly one base with accents on the heel and the back tail.
Right.
The Nina Chanel 3 was a similar palette. So we seeing the same thing. I can't, when we come to Nigel, I can't give him all the flack for that shoe.
I'm not giving him all the flack. When did I say Nigel?
You said you're getting both.
I said the 4. Right, both. All in both is two different things. 50% and 100% is two different numbers.
You give them both 50% for that shoe not being what you like it?
Yes.
No, I can't do that.
I'm doing 50%. What's his name on that shoe?
What I think you more upset about, honestly, is people saying that it's sneaker of the year. I think if that weren't.
No, I'm mad about that increases my ire.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like if that didn't get said,
because I was already annoyed with it. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. This shit, the box look better than the shoe, and I'm like, okay, well, fine.
Well,
like,
I think there's that, and then also how quickly.
I wish I had like a Matt Welty rage meter right
now. How quickly it sold out and the hype that was attributed to it, I felt like lends a lot more credence to I guess the hype around the shoe now and why so many people are focused in on the story. Because remember, what was it, like 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah,
it was the one news story where people had robbed the train and had stole the shoes off the train.
That made
That's
it more
what I'm
limited.
saying. So I feel like that in itself has now help to tell a different story for the shoe and give the shoe a little bit more hype than what it already had.
I think that added to the hype for sure, because it's like when you hear that, it's like, okay, well, it's going to be less pairs available, so now it's more limited.
Right.
And I mean, that always helps, right? Like the more limited a shoe is, it helps. Not saying it's not a guarantee, but it definitely fucking helps.
Now my thing is, I'm not a fan of the shoe.
Right.
I didn't like the shoe. And just because Nigel's name is attached to the shoe doesn't make me dislike it or sway me to like the shoe anymore. If Nigel didn't have his name on that shoe and that shoe just came out by itself, I would still feel the same way I feel, where I've been like, that's not something that I'm into.
Yeah, that's the same way I felt. It was like a level. I think if it was a regular general release, it'd just be like indifference. Like, okay, this is another bland ass general release.
So
fine.
I think, to your point, I get what you're saying, to you hold the collaborator to a higher standard. But then
the collaboration, like I'm saying, like to his point, like I acknowledge his point. I acknowledge Jordan Brand probably, but because I can't say for sure, I'm just going, you know what, both of y'all getting enough, you know, like.
But then
because I don't know who said, like, because for all I know, Nigel. I mean, is that his name? Yeah, Nigel. He could have just came in there and said this is his idea. I don't know. I wasn't a part of that conversation, so until I factually know what was. Now, Guru makes a valid point. Like, if we getting all these solid color shoes from one brand, yeah. So there's credence to that.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, is because I remember before when we would always bring up talking about the rope that the designers have to be able to do what it is that they want to do in terms of the creative process.
Yes.
If there isn't...
Nigel Sylvester just came and knocked over a camera.
If there isn't much creativity that can be done with the shoe, how was that on the collaborator?
Say what now?
If the collaborator isn't allowed to do anything extra, like if it's the designers basically saying, if it's Nike basically saying, here's what you can do.
If I knew that for a fact, now to your point, right? Let's break this down. We've been there. We've had conversations, right? All of us have actually. We've been there, had conversations with the designers. And so we know that a lot of the designs that could come out do get stymied. I'm acknowledging that. But that's just a regular designer, right? Like when you got a Nigel Sylvester or these big name collaborators, right? Now, typically, they tend to give them more freedom than your average designer, because your average designer is, nobody knows who that is, right? And they purposely do that shit, right? Because the last thing they want is another Tinker Hatfield that they got to acquiesce to, right? Or another, what's my man that did all the pennies and stuff?
That was Eric Avard, and
Eric
Mark
Avard
took over from him.
Right. There's a reason why you don't know a lot of these designers by name no more, because once they become famous, now the price goes up, right? And so, and then you got other brands trying to tap them and trying to, take them or whatever. So the less they know who you are. And so a lot of that gets stymied or whatever. So I acknowledge that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. To what degree, especially for a collaboration, that's where the conversation is at, right? So that's why I'm saying, you know what, 50, because I don't know what, like I said, for all I know, this could have been his full idea brought to fruition, and it just played into whatever they wanted to do anyway. I don't know. Without being a part of that conversation, I don't know.
I feel like we have enough sample size to, if we had to
infer. Don't not say sample size.
Get him out of here. Get him out.
How? Look at all the Drake collaborations. Were they not solid one color?
I'm thinking about the show. Go ahead.
Were they?
I'm messing with you.
Will we not think? Weren't all the Drake collaborations one color? The OVO 10s, the OVO 12s.
I feel the same way about those.
I mean, so if Jordan Brand has done it with Drake, the Raptor 4s, the Drake 4s, are just the Raptor 4s with his signature on the tongue. Mm-hmm. So if all the collaborations,
now, whoa, let me take that back. Now I know for a fact the Drake collaboration was 100% his, and that wasn't even supposed to even come out at first. So, because his people was at No Joke. This was a while ago. There's a backstory to that.
Nike still signed off on it to release. So that was a solid color. Mm-hmm. The Raptor 4s, which is just Raptor 4s with his signature on the cover, because the Raptor 4s came out first. Then they took that shoe and put Drake signature on it.
They re-released it.
Yeah.
No. I think
that's the deluxe.
No,
that's the deluxe album.
The Raptor.
Which one? I thought his came out and then they switched it off.
No, his came out. The regular one came out. The regular one came out first,
and then
they came back and spun that back. Right. So you got that one.
What was the point of that?
J Balvin's, we going to the J Balvin's.
Hold on, real quick. What was the point of them doing that? I want to know.
I don't know. Maybe because I think that was around the time when he first became ambassador in the Raptors or something like that. But
why would you recall the shoes just to add that dumbass patch on it?
No, because I think if I remember correctly, I think there was one pair that I think that it just didn't get a big release. I think it was supposed to be that
was the NRG pair. So it was
that's what I was saying.
Raptor 4s came out. Drake became ambassador of the Raptors.
Yeah,
and then so they put out another batch with his signature on it.
I thought they recalled the pairs.
No. They
still came. I remember they did still come out.
Yeah, they had a new batch for them come out.
I thought they recalled them just to add that patch.
No.
Okay, I was about to say.
So I just like the history of it just being those kind of colors to me for all these collaborators. It's kind of
because then, we could point that out, but then like I said, I could point out like a Nina Chanel, right, where you could tell they let her like do her thing on that, and whether you liked it or not, that was definitely her spin. That was definitely her putting her thumbprint on that shoe. Whether you like it or not, that's subjective. That definitely stands out from any other two release that would have come out. So that's my point about a collaboration. Whether I like it or not is a different.
I got those shoes, and I don't think that they were just to me, I got them because they were like a low key, soft, low key shoe. That to me, if I walked in the room, that didn't stand out as a collaboration to me.
That would have definitely stood out to me because it's different than any other.
Yeah, I was
Jordan
gonna
too.
say I would have. It would. Yeah, I agree with you. It stands out.
It definitely stands out, and then
Man, I guess it's just like this 4 stands out in its own way.
The color.
That's
what I'm saying. Like nothing else, but I've seen an all red 4.
Yeah, but you haven't seen a clay colored 4.
I couldn't even keep it straight.
I mean, that's about all I can give you for that
shade of
one.
red.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
I guess I haven't.
I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, okay, here's the other part about it. I always think back to is exactly what you said. We're not in those rooms. We're not in that room where, hey, here's what you're able to do. Here's what you get to choose from. Here's the samples that we brought to you. You know, thumbs up, thumbs down. We're not there. So who knows? Who knows what got the thumbs down?
They
or
give Dornbecker more freedom than they give the regular collaborators.
I don't know. I can't say that for sure. Like without having.
Don't they let the kids just color on the picture?
Yeah, they basically just.
Okay,
and then
so
they like.
So why don't they? I feel like they should do that for Travis
Nigel,
Scott.
They should get Nigel a Jordan 4
I mean,
picture.
I feel like get after Travis Scott. He probably some of his stuff might look a little bit better.
To his point though, Dornbecker, like to me, that is the epitome of what I think a collaboration should be and is. It is taking this model and making it yours, and not just like anybody can make an all black shoe, anybody can make an all red shoe, anybody can make an all blue shoe. There's no creativity in that shit, right? The creativity at that point is in the storytelling. You know, once again, this is why I say if you want to say it's storytelling of the year, fine. I ain't gonna argue that. You want to say it's marketing of the year? I'll agree.
Too. They with them 4s had one solid color, that cream color, and that little off-page purple. Like
excited about those either.
I mean, but that goes back to numerous creators having a similar palette,
and maybe that's true. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is because I don't know for sure. I'm just like, to me, that's me being fair. It's like I can't.
So because Nigel was in the car with the drug dealer, he got to get
getting arrested.
I hope you like prison food and penis.
Ain't that how that shit works?
Nah.
That is how it works. Now, whether we can argue whether or not
that's not how
that is how it works.
That's the pause of the day so far.
Yeah, yeah, bro.
If
that
you
is
both
exactly
in the car
how it
and the
works.
one dude says I did it.
He has to say it though.
Who?
The police not just gonna assume they're gonna take both of y'all. Nah, if me and you in the car and I say, you know what, that's mine. That's not his. He was just there.
I don't think you should be the one to use yourself as an example.
You know what? I own it at this point. Like, fuck it. Y'all gonna keep harping on it. But if we both in the car and I say, so if Jordan Brand came out and said, yeah, we held him back, then yeah, it's like, okay, same thing. But if you keep getting arrested for drugs in your car and you're the same one in the driver's seat, but there's been different passengers, I can lean towards saying maybe these are your drugs. You're still getting arrested though. Now,
or
not you get prosecuted. You're both getting arrested. Now, whether or not y'all both get prosecuted is two different things. But
they might say, well, you've been arrested 5 times for having drugs in your car. He's been arrested once. So we're trying to decide or infer or maybe lean to see who maybe these or not.
They're going to hit you with the, hey, buddy. we know it's you.
Oh, yeah. They're going to look at you and say, you're for sure going, right? You know, I don't know.
It's nice to see you again.
Right. You know the routine, hands behind your back. Right. You got anything in your pocket?
We left your room vacant for you.
Right. Hey, got you a nice warm blanket straight out the dryer. But no, like that's just like I said, like the 4s to me, like whether Jordan Brand held back or not, at the end of the day, all I got to go off is the product and the finished product. And to me, the finished product was
But you like the social status pennies, didn't you?
The who's?
Social status penny 2s.
I'm drawing a blank on those.
The black with the baby blue, they're basically the Orlandos, but with baby blue.
The penny 2s. Oh, yeah. There wasn't just one solid color.
Damn, it was the
Just because it has a base color and a solid color.
The same penny, but with baby blue instead of royal blue.
Dog, it had hits of gray, hits of baby blue, hits of cream. Like, it ain't just one solid color. That's been my whole argument. One solid color, not a base color with other colors added to it.
So you don't like all white Air Force Ones?
I'm going to drop one. I'm going to drop an all white Air Force One and say I like marshmallows or some shit. I don't know.
Rockefeller did it.
Right. And we had this whole conversation. I'm like, and what did I say? Basic. Just throwing a logo on a white Air
But
Force
that
One
leather
don't get
was
me
not-
excited.
That leather was not of what the regular Air Force Ones was.
Look,
Which is
if
the
I'm paying
biggest complaint of people who wear Air Force Ones is leather quality. So
if
you
I'm
give me
paying
an all-white leather,
$200 for a shoe, leather quality should be the least of my concerns.
then why people feel like they feel about Jordan Brand?
As they should. Like, I've never argued that. They should. Like, I am advocating for it. Look, if you don't feel like the quality is worth your $200 that you worked hard for, why give it to them?
But you tell quality is like a ugly chick with a personality.
Yeah, the ugly shoe with good quality ain't moving me, just like an ugly chick with a good personality ain't moving me. You got to look good.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly.
You can have all the nice suede you want to. If it's a doo-doo brown shoe with nice suede, I'm not buying that shit.
Why are you so superficial?
I want both. I want good quality and good colors and a good design. I want both. It's called balance. That's the whole emphasis of the show. Balance.
So when the brick for it, doesn't that, from what you've seen, would you say that shoe has good quality?
But it has a good quality. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Okay. What about, you like the silhouette, of course, right?
I like the silhouette. I just don't like the.
You
I don't
just
like
don't like the color.
I don't like the all red and like that doesn't.
So you don't like black cats? You didn't like the black cats?
That's why I don't have any.
What about, you got Ferrari 14s?
That's not a collab though. That's a general release. Once again, I hold collaborations to a higher standard.
But I feel like Jordan is the biggest collaborator for Jordan Brand. So I feel like his storytelling, his collaboration should be bigger.
That is so different, bro. That is
absolutely.
not even.
Which is why we had the
close.
problem with some of the colors in the recent outside of this year, which I've said, we argued this in the basement last summer about you should drop OG colors, and what are they doing this year? Dropping OG colors because those sell better than.
No, we agree, but I ain't say drop every OG in 1 year.
Yeah, but they also only feel like 10,000 pairs.
I was gonna say that too. Like, make more pairs, motherfucker. Like, to your point about.
But when you make more pairs, they sit and people clown it.
No. When I say make more pairs, I mean make more than 10,000. You ain't got to make 1 million, but you can make more than 10,000.
Message.
Like we talked about the black toes. Like, they should have reversed the production runs on those. Should have made the black toes limited because those are only going to appeal to like the diehards, right? Whereas the band ones, that's more of a broader release.
Storytelling.
Yeah. So, well, you see the storytelling. They had the Nike guy out there handing out citations and shit. One of the cringiest fucking marketing campaigns.
You never gonna get rid of that video, are you?
I cannot stand that dude.
It's like
I don't even know him, and
every episode, I go back and rewatch.
I can't wait until. I mean, by the time the show airs, we would already have dropped it. But still, I can't wait to see the response to that video we did on the discrimination. The lawsuit that they settled.
Oh.
Because he gets beat up heavily in that site.
He does?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
I was doing the editing and I was like, God damn.
Yeah,
I felt bad for a second.
We butchered him like that?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Because we made him the face of that.
Oh.
Not to say that he was not to say that he was the one doing it.
We got to find out that guy's name.
It's Lawrence.
Now I remember.
Yeah, it's Lawrence.
Oh, man.
No, not to say he was the one doing the harassing or anything.
But it's all coming back now.
Yeah, you handing out citations for shoes, my man. Meanwhile, anyway, number 3, excuse me, we got the Union LA Special Edition Air Jordan Retro 1 High OG. I'm back once again. It's a Chicago one. Like, honestly. This next one though, and okay, I like this shoe, but I'm mad for a different reason, and Guru might understand why. 2,
I understand you last 30 minutes.
You gonna understand these. You gonna understand these. Number 2, we got the Apron Records Special Edition Nike Air 180. Now, the reason I'm upset is Apron Records get to have a collab, but Motown ain't big enough.
Message.
Name me one song from Apron Records.
I don't even know what is Apron Records.
So it's a
Straight
song.
Low Cash. MC, what's that? That was C4. What was that? What's that movie with Chris Rock? There was the Gangsters.
Was CB4?
Yeah. Was that released on Apron Records?
No.
Wow.
I think I understand.
Gusto, that's what it was.
I think I know why they got a collab. I think it's the connection to a sneaker store over in the UK. But yeah. But,
I mean,
how you gonna tell me that Motown ain't big enough to do a collaboration with, but Apron Records is? Nice shoe though.
It was two. It was two pair, wasn't it?
I only seen the one.
Because wasn't it the green one and the burgundy one?
I ain't seen the burgundy one.
Thanks to Mark Zuckerberg, that shoe ain't come across my algorithm, so I ain't get to see it.
Ain't nothing special. You ain't missing nothing.
I mean, I like the Air Max.
He owns Instagram
I like
too,
the
right?
Air Max.
Yeah,
because and WhatsApp and all them.
He owns WhatsApp.
Yeah. So they bought it. They a little bit all of them. Yeah.
I'm taking.
You know what? Now that makes sense because I see the little logo at the end of the bottom of the post.
That's why everything is like transferable now. You can
take a post on Facebook and go
go
with
on
2 buttons,
Instagram.
do it connected to that.
Yeah, I'm taking issue with your.
Isn't Threads on there too?
Yeah, Threads is terrible.
I know. I don't know.
Threads is awful. Just because it's like people.
It was trying to be Twitter, wasn't it?
I've never seen people
Or
just
X.
put so much just bullshit on Thread. Like people, like I know the internet. People gonna say
Different
some
than
wild
any
stuff.
other
Twitter is
platform.
literally the birthplace of that.
Yeah, I get that, but Threads is like 20 times worse because it's like
Twitter could never be overtaken.
Threads is like because people will say like it's raining outside right now, right? People, it's
fake news.
They will say something like, "Oh yeah, well it's actually just like lightly sunny, you know, it's just precipitation that's lightly falling," or they'll say something where it's like it's just cringeworthy, and then it just gets you wrapped.
That's like pandering with semantics, but Twitter
That's
is
what
literally
Threads is.
X Twitter, whatever you want to call it, is disgusting. One, I don't follow Elon Musk, and they force feed me on my timeline. Like I had to double check that.
Hey, I'm with you. on that.
Number
I can't
two,
even-
I haven't been on Twitter in I don't know how
they
long.
shape ads the same way as. Sometimes you click on the tweet and it end up being an ad. It's like, what is this? And they got like you can't open Twitter in a meeting. Like you literally gotta like open Twitter in your back pocket because you don't know what type of content is gonna come when you first load it. Like
Twitter wild place.
Yeah, so it's like,
I never
that's why I
understood.
say it's never. It's like the wild, and there's so much propaganda on there from Homeboy. Like what he's force feeding, it's just like now I see you bought that to push propaganda. You got a government contract to get the satellites to count. Then you went to Homeboy and say, "Yo, I got all these in my pocket. If you want to stay out of jail, I can help you do the X, Y, and Z." You get to play it and turning me helping you out. I want to do all of this. Like I just seen the dominoes fall, and it's just like it's mad disgusting.
Go home to mommy. Go home. Bye. Go home to mommy. Go home to mommy. Tell her to tuck you in bed.
No, it is. They got rid of the fact checking on there, which is crazy to me because, you know, they like how. This is I swear we go back to sneakers. I just gotta get this off my chest. They got rid of the fact
It's affecting
checking.
sneakers, so
It is
So.
tariffs. There you go. That's just 6 degrees of separation right there. But no, they got rid of the fact checking under the guise of, you know, fake news, all this other shit. If you actually took the time, right, whenever they would fact check something, they would explain why. They will walk you through the steps of how this story. They give you all the context and nuance. Just because you disagree with it or you don't like it doesn't make it any less true. I remember, I'll never forget. This kind of gives you into the mindset of some people. This is back when Obama was in office, and I forgot which country it was, right? But you know, the headline was that we gave them all this money, right? And they just made it seem like we just loaded pallets of money into an airplane and just fucking dropped it off like a cartoon with like the
most
little
of the time it'd be
parachutes.
that dollar amount in aid.
Here's the thing. It wasn't even aid. You know what it was? It was back at, you know, whatever time we had frozen their assets. And if they lived up to the agreement through different checkpoints, they would unfreeze their assets as they went along. So it was already their shit. We were just unfreezing. We weren't giving them anything. But the headline was, oh, America this. And I remember I got to a conversation with somebody like, it was their assets. We unfroze it. Well, that's your set of facts. And I'm like,
Shut up, bitch!
I don't know if you know how facts work. Facts aren't subjective. Otherwise, they wouldn't be facts. They would be theories. They would be hypotheses. The reasons facts are facts is because they're substantiated, motherfucker. Like, there's evidence. But that gives you into the mindset of some people where it's like when facts become subjective, when you could just throw this. And once again, you know, context, right? Because we can look at something and factually say this is this. For example, I always give people this example. I could give you 2 people, right? And I could say both of them killed somebody. Without any other context, they both murderers, right? You killed somebody, right? But if I say this person killed somebody in the middle of a robbery and this person killed somebody in self-defense, now you look at those two things differently, right? And some people purposely remove context in order to give you that point of view. You know what I'm saying?
To give you their context.
Yeah, or to give you a narrative. Because that's all narratives are. Narratives are facts without context. And to me, there's a lot of narratives out here. Like, you know, what they say.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
A good lie has a little bit of truth in it. Because if I can get you to see the truth in that lie, then you're gonna just assume that everything else I tell you is, you know, fact. But once again, the mentality of some people where it's just like fake news. Like, why is it fake, man? Because you don't want to hear it.
Because somebody put out that tagline, and so anybody that disagrees with them, you can say that's fake news, and you gave those people that are very low in education and stature to a loud voice. So, you know,
somebody made a good point, and I thought it was funny. And they were saying, it's like, you know, you go to the library, right? You got the children's books and adult books, right? And if you compare the two, a children's book is very thin, not a lot of words, small words. Why? Because they're children, so it's easily digestible, it has pictures, right? Whereas adult books, more words, thicker, right? And so he was just saying,
pictures.
Yeah, hardly no pictures, right? And it was just saying, like, he's children's book for people who have childlike minds when it comes to things like politics, where it's just like he can say these things and it's digestible, fake news and alternative facts. What's the alternative fact, bro? Explain to me how it's a fact, but there's another fact that contradicts it. Like, then it wouldn't be a fact. It would be a theory. It would be an hypothesis.
A narrative.
Yes. Like, my mind is crazy to me that we've gotten to this place. But, you know, when you lack critical thinking skills, it's very easy. Like, it's almost like this. Like being in construction, right? You know, worked on houses, I've worked on buildings, I've worked on a lot of things. And so when you're demoing, right, we can acknowledge that this wall has to come down. But you're not just going to hand that sledgehammer to just anybody. You're going to hand it to somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, right? Because you tear down the wrong thing, it ain't just the wall coming down, it's the whole house. And, you know, it's just crazy to me. Like, I can point out, like, if we go outside right now and, like, somebody's car is making a sound, we can all point it out and say, hey, you need to get that fixed. Doesn't mean I can fix it myself. I could point out a problem, doesn't mean I can fix it. And I don't know. I think there has been a lot of people taking advantage of the fact that I could point out the problem and I can get you upset about that problem. And because I'm the person that pointed it out and the person that got you all upset, you look to me to have a solution. And because you're so upset, anything that I say that is contradictory to the problem itself is going to seem like a better solution, when in reality it's not.
Message!
Sounds like your relationship with Nike at times.
No, not at all. I've been more right than wrong. Matter of fact,
you get them upset. You have a conversation. You say you should do.
They reach out to me. They reached out to me about the what's name.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't even say. Never mind. Let me not say that.
I'm saying like that's
just stop.
That's seems.
Because I'm not even gonna tell you about the band shit.
Well, you told me.
I told you. Yeah.
But you
no, I don't think I told you everything.
Yeah.
So it's
so you keep your sources and keep.
No, but that's my point. But,
relationship.
I mean, if anything, that tells you that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like the fact that they even reach out, and that's what annoys me the most is that we'll have these secret conversations where they'll like halfway acknowledge, you know, they're not going to admit that they're wrong, but they're just going to admit that I had a point, which, and so yeah, it's just like, all right, whatever. Like, I can't be too wrong. Like, we was just on campus last week. I mean, not last week, last year. So.
Damn, I was going to say, we was there last week.
No.
I'm trying.
No, he was.
No. Well,
he probably saw.
He was.
He brought Oregon weather with him.
That's crazy to me that Oregon was warmer than Detroit was in the middle of winter. You wasn't there though. We was there in the winter. We was there in the February.
It was raining.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Still better than here. But anyway, number 1, Geeno. You got these, right?
You son of a bitch.
The Air Jordan Retro 9. Cool gray. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm not. I'm surprised though. I'm surprised I got a pair. Like I was so indifferent because I had a pair.
They got his sneakers app tap.
Right now you play. When you gonna look for your man? Just tell me LeBron, bro. Zoom generation. That's all I ask for.
Actually, I talked to you after the show about that.
I just need something.
No,
bro.
I got
Something.
you. I got you.
I got you. Okay, that's all I need.
See, so you good.
I mean, what, 12 years? What, hold on. 12 years of free consultation? I mean, my goodness.
You had to prove your loyalty.
Right, 12 years of free
Time out.
consultation.
He acting like he ain't been on trips. He ain't been on campus.
Who? Who mean I ain't been on trip and been on campus?
You.
I did. Right. I'm saying I've been there once. I didn't get no shoes from them.
No, I'm saying we've been on trips. We've been on campus.
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about specifically with
the product,
Swoosh brand, and me receiving that. Yes, from being when you went and they had my stuff recorded and all that. I just want my sneaks, bro. I don't ask for much. Free game.
Well, it ain't free game.
Free. It did if you take my advice and go with it. So
but I'm saying
you took a couple of my shoes and made the
you don't want you trying to charge for it. That's what it is.
Hold up. No, it's called. I want some compensation for that.
Yeah, exactly.
The charging was me invoicing.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Invoicing.
I'm not. Yeah.
And my Air Max 95, y'all agree that was ripped off. My She Air Force One.
Yeah, they did.
My She Air Force One.
I forgot about that.
She Air Force One. Like
no, they definitely blew off the Air Force One.
Yes.
No, your Air Max. Your
Air Max 95. My
I forgot about that. I hope I can find a picture of that.
Yeah, dog. I scribbled on my Air Force Ones. Then we get the Air Maxes with the scribble on them. They went over to the desk like, how did you do these?
They did.
Yeah, that's what I want, bro. I ain't just out here just like,
so they
please.
was looking at your designs, just looking at you.
I
like, oh yeah, we got one.
Forgot about that Air Max.
We got one.
It was a 95, right?
Yeah, the firework. Yeah, it's like second best selling shoe in that pack out of everybody's. Yeah, my She Air Force Ones. I dropped them. Then when they come back with that 89 to 04 Air Force One release. So
I forgot about.
That's why I asked that. That's why,
That's why
I feel like if T.I. is Nike, I'm Marvin Gaye estate. Like, just give him
his royalties, y'all.
Just a little exclusive.
Give him what you owe.
Bro. I ain't so much. And the stuff I won't really be hyped, like, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead, we can finish. Let you go.
No, I was gonna say
we'll talk after what you said
about those cool gray 9s though. It was funny because somebody was trying to hook me up with a pair, but they wanted like, I don't know what they reselling for right now. I heard that they were not reselling for much, but he wanted $60 over retail plus shipping. And I was kind of like, I'm at the point now where it's like I'm not really looking to pay resale on anything, especially like there's so many shoes on my list to circle back on that I can get for like a relatively good price that I'm not looking to pay resale for something. If I can't get it for retail, then I'm okay with the L. And so went on the sneakers app and I was just like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Shot went in. So it was one of those things. I'm so reselling me now is like I have to I can't even think of a shoe right now that I'm like desperate enough for. Like I maybe the Great Fives, because I really, 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 really want those. I'll probably pay if I can't get it for retail. That might be the one shoe.
Yeah, but you gotta cut off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm not going crazy for all these releases. Like
no, I'm talking about that release in particular.
Oh, like as far as the price?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not, because you already know people gonna be like taxing like crazy because and I just I mean if I get it, I mean there's shoes that I've gotten this year that came out 3 years ago. If I gotta wait 2 years for you to realize that you're gonna either hold them or take the money I'm willing to give you, so be it. Like once again, when you get to the place where it's like this is what I want, this is not what I need, you can make those moves.
Message.
And I even had somebody in my comments because I was happy to win a pair and whatever. So of course I posted it and it was like, well, it's easy to get when they're bricks, and I'm like who uses this terminology? Like to this day, I hate the terminology of bricks in terms of like sitting, because it's like, why the fuck should that matter? If you like a shoe, whether it's still in the stores or not, should make zero difference. Whether a million people have them or you have them should make zero difference. If you think they are dope, get them.
Yeah, but you got to remember, this generation doesn't believe that. This generation is generation of sheep.
He ain't lying.
Man, but it was just like, this person looked like a grown enough individual to not think in those terms.
I don't know. The kids nowadays,
No, I think
they
that's
look.
not-
They look.
No, I looked at their profile.
They're more so
They look
victim
weathered.
of. They're very influential by their other peers' comments and social media. I think they've kind of grew up inside of hype, so they don't know how to operate outside of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
so
feel you.
that's we grew up in an era where shoes were sitting. Like,
And
we
I'm
like,
so happy that I was
like they
born
didn't
in
when they
this.
so we kind of come up from that, so it doesn't dictate with the. You grew up in an era where if everybody had the same shoe, that was a shoe to get.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
I know
Like-
people that took the shit back because too many people had the shit.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like, oh no, everybody got these.
Oh yeah.
You
So
know?
I mean,
So yeah, no, I mean,
That's funny you said that, because I do remember times like in school, you know, you'd come when they switched the day from Wednesday to Saturday for the release date, and then it'd be like that Monday, and everybody have shit, and you'd be looking, you'd be like, shit, I'm happy I didn't wear mine.
Yeah. But no, you know what's crazy though? Like, going back to that, it's so we talking about the decision making at these companies sometimes. It's like, who the fuck thought it was a good idea to drop shoes on a Wednesday? In the morning too.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
As if kids weren't gonna be skipping school to get like
It was probably a logistical reason behind it. Had to be.
What would be the logistical reason behind it dropping on a Wednesday?
I think that they dropped them then so they
From a
can
sales perspective, you can get those sales for the week rather than
Nah.
take the chance on dropping them on a
Wednesday
Friday.
and Saturday part of the same week?
I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
if you get the shoe on Wednesday, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Exactly.
Saturday, Sunday before that. You do your sales reporting on that Monday.
Okay.
So that's why. But when
Well, it
kids
gives you
start
more
skipping
days to
school, you
sell
got to
through.
push it. Yeah. So that's why. So
Yeah.
So now you.
That's the only thing I can think of.
You
But we
pushing
talking
your-
about coveted releases though, like
Yeah, but remember, they weren't always
They
coveted
covered it at that
releases,
time.
Okay.
especially when they was dropping on Wednesdays.
I think they almost didn't
Yeah.
retro the 911s because they said the first time. So
Oh no, because I remember every Jordan I dropped in my school.
we were the we were.
Well, look where we was at.
We were not the foundation for the sneaker community, but we were the most important. We kind of kept.
Oh, you know what?
They
I'm glad you
started
brought that up.
going. We kept what the OGs started, like Jumpman Bostic, when his crew that came in buying sneakers. We kept what they did going, but we also made it possible for retros to exist, so these kids after us could enjoy them.
He ain't lying.
So our era was the most important era of sneaker culture.
I got a question for you, but I'm gonna get through this real quick. Ugliest release of the week. We got the Kiko Kostadinov special edition Asics Gel Kiro 3 bronze brown and black.
Congratulations! Oh my god!
Yeah, that shoe horrible.
I ain't
Anyway, don't even bother looking up. But no, I was gonna ask you because this leads to a conversation I think a lot of people have been having, and I've been having too with certain folks. Is like the state of sneaker culture and what it's going to look like going forward. And to your point, I know this is going to sound pretentious to some people, but I think our generation is what is, and older generations are what is holding up sneaker culture right now.
He ain't lying.
Because I think a lot of the reason why sneakers, specifically like Jordans, carried over is because we still hold them in such high regard that even the younger generations hold them to some high regard because we do. And I think once we're gone, these younger generations don't have that same nostalgic feel and that same connection. And I don't know if sneaker culture in general is going to be anywhere near what it was or is going forward once we either die off or just move on to something else. And so I don't know. It was interesting to hear what you guys thought.
I think that the younger generation aren't as receptive to the passing of the mantle and what comes with that. Because prime example, when I was taking to go get shoes, I was taught like, this is dope. This is what you look for. This is quality. This is when you rock this. Like there was game passed on. So when you try to pass it on to this current generation, they're like, nah, I ain't really feeling that. They don't really want to listen. So now the information that I got that kind of I use to help keep the game going forward, I try to pass it on. If you're not receptive to that, then now it's almost like, prime example, same way I feel about our sneaker generation, same way I feel about our rap generation, right? So my aunties, my uncles, and everybody, they made me listen to Biggie, Pac, so I knew kind of what a good rapper was. And then so when the J's came in, and not like I introduced to Nas, even though he came up before then, the DMXs came, Ja Rules. I'm like, oh, this is fire. So then when the next generation comes along, I'm like, that's not how the game's supposed to be held. This is not how you put your best foot forward when it comes to rap in the building. And when you try to give that game to the younger generation, they're like, no, only matters is this melody and this hook. Then now you in a state where the music is now, where there's not as much. And now you got to go back and sample our generation music to even make your music any somewhat listenable. Or when you go to a party, current music isn't all day lit. You probably got like 15 solid records, and now you got to go back to 2010 and later to listen to decent music. You're right.
What's
the same thing?
Going.
So which is now what's kind of happening in the sneaker community as well.
Well, I think the other thing,
hold on real quick, because I really want to piggyback what he just said about the rap, because if you think about it, right, like when rap first started, it was based off the music that they parents listened to. So there was this bridge. Yeah, we got our own style. Yeah, we got our own music, but we're using what you gave us to build that music. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just completely shunning it and just being like, no, we got our own thing. No, they embraced the old school music, and then they found a way to make it their own. To your point, this new generation just completely detached from all of that. And so, yeah, I that was probably the perfect analogy that you just. I just want to acknowledge the analogy.
Acknowledge me.
It's what I feel like I've always said it. I feel like social media, the rise of social media and the internet is what has, I know you said we're the ones holding sneaker culture back, but in my opinion, are we really?
Not back, but like holding it up.
I don't think so, only because the one thing that we were privy to that the kids now are not privy to is we had to make decisions on our own. We didn't have somebody all the way in Florida, California, Chicago, wherever, that we could actually see what it is that they're wearing and what they like. We had to go off of, you go into the store, you got to put that together yourself. You have to be able to decipher for you what's hot, what's not hot. So now when you go to Foot Locker, you pick out your outfit, you show up to school the next day, you have some on, first thing people will say, damn, that's fresh. Where'd you get that from? Whereas now it's turning to everybody has to look the same.
But
everybody
to his point,
goes.
Though, you don't think people tried to give them that game and they just shunned it?
I think we hold it up because one, we still buy the retros along with them and the collaborations. But two, if it was a 17-year-old and a 25-year-old right here, right? We would still buy the Brick Fours, we would still buy the Unions with them. But when it comes to the Penny Ones and the Jason Kids and those shoes, we the ones that buy that still.
Yeah, we buy
so
that.
We keep the Monday through Saturday shoes we still buy.
But what I'm saying is,
to his point though about I guess the way we we have more of a individual sense of.
No, I'm speaking to your point of when you saying we're holding the sneaker culture up.
Right.
That's I'm speaking to that point.
I know what you're speaking to. But I'm saying, but specifically to his point about this generation is more about looking like everybody else as opposed to having your own sense of style and fashion. Like, do you think that there have been people, whether like we've said it on our show plenty of times, like buy what you like, and I feel like that's been a mantra out there. It's just they don't receive that.
I mean, I think it's a mantra out there to an extent, but the problem is exactly what you said. What'd you say when you had to post about the Cool Grey 9s? Somebody called it a brick.
Yeah.
And again, for us, we didn't look at shoes as a brick.
Whether they sold or not. Yeah.
If we saw a shoe still sitting in the store, we first said, oh shit, it's still there. Like, all right, let me grab. Like, okay, cool. I've been looking for this. I done drove to 3, 4, 5 different stores trying to find this shoe, or I got lucky. Like, we've all had those stories where we've randomly walked into a store, just casually walking in, not knowing what we walking in for, and we find something that we're like, holy shit, like I didn't know that was going to be there. What I'm saying when I say like, I don't think it's necessarily us holding it up. I think it's as soon as this new generation, or I don't even want to say new generation, but as soon as this younger generation can attach themselves to individuality, I think that's when, like for us, it'll be like, hey, okay, we can take that step back because now they're finding different things that they like. Like one of the things that I was in Foot Locker earlier today, and one of the things that like caught my ear, like I wasn't really paying that much attention, but like right now we're seeing the rise of running shoes. Like the New Balance, like the actual like New Balance ASIC running shoes. Now people are wearing those more so for a stylistic purpose. Why? Because that's a cheaper version than going to get that Balenciaga running shoe, chunky running shoe that costs like $3,000, $4,000 or whatever.
Right.
I can go ahead and I can get like 20 New Balances that look just like it, and I can rock those in different ways. So it's like, I think
Balenciaga probably ripped them off anyway.
Right. But what I'm saying is like, I think there is that chance that comes back, but I feel like as soon as that individuality like actually like is able to stand on its own and people are more so embracing damn, yeah, that's dope. I'm happy you got that. I like how you put that together. I think that's when we'll be able to, like I said, for us, we'll almost be able to sit back like Thanos and say, all right, our work is done.
Never.
You can't get the words out your mouth.
No, but no, I say that because
we got to get rid of half of them.
Right.
But no, I'm saying
Hey,
the reason why I believe that because we are like most of the parents. Like my mom used to wear like the great Air Max 95s, the tracksuit, but she aged out. She just went away from sneakers.
Yeah,
we're the first generation that are wearing sneakers into our 40s, heading to our 50s and our 60s.
Yeah,
our people before us wasn't.
We're
so that's why we carry it. So
yeah.
That's why I'm saying why we carry that. And then the new generation, they haven't grown up in originality. Their TV shows are remakes. Their clothing are retro. Their style is retro. So they have no originality. So that's why it's just like if they stop retroing anything and made something new, they would be lost.
Or just,
so like that is true. As opposed to us, we got that.
This kind of ties into what I was saying earlier about risks. I feel like nowadays nobody really wants to take a creative risk because nobody wants to be seen as a failure, right? So it's much easier to kind of go with the formula than it is to do something different. And I think that plays into it because even with these brands and stuff, it's like, okay, like nobody wants to take the risk to do anything. Because I was thinking about the Adapt line. And I was like, I really hope Nike brings that back one day. Because that was so unique. Now, yes, it was expensive, but so are a lot of things that are new, right? When they hit the market, they're new. And then over time, once they become more refined and produced, the price goes down. Like I think about DVD players. When they first came out, it was like $400, $500. By the end of their run, you can get a DVD player for $20, you know?
Shit, if that.
So
it's just, so for me,
you go pick one up from the store.
You gotta fail forward. You 100%. Have to fail forward because that's how you can't say you're scared to take risks because if you able to be in this predicament now because you make so much dope and futuristic stuff back in the 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you're gonna need to 20 years from now, need to sample something from 2025, 2010, 2011 to trying to keep that motion going, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point, people gonna say, okay, I done bought this shoe for the 4th time, I'm good. Right?
Yeah.
So, and then the next generation, that shoe's not gonna mean much as it is to that person. So the more and more you go without creativity, the less and less important the retro start to become to the generations that come after.
100%.
So like that's where you have to take that risk. You're in the best predicament to take your risk. Because if you was in the 90s and you took risk and you knew if it failed, your company was way under was a wrap.
Yeah.
Now that you got your retros should be funding your research and development so you can create hot stuff and you can retro that stuff.
You know, I agree.
Almost like it gives you, it buys you time.
Yeah,
essentially.
And they wasting time by not being creative and taking risks.
100%.
Well, even though I think we had talked about it, that the new Pegasus running shoe that they came out with, like in terms of, I guess we could say some form of innovation and.
I feel like it's an updated version.
Yeah, but even with that, like that's one of those things where it's like as much as we shit on them, I kind of do have to give them credit for that shoe. However,
but that's why I said I'm not concerned about Nike. I'm more so concerned about Jordan brand. Because Nike.
Well, but here's the problem with Jordan brand, and this is the first thing that I can point to, and I know Guru's gonna agree with this. Look at the athletes that are on Jordan brand that have to now carry the mantle of Jordan brand.
Right, but what do they say? Even they said it when we was on campus. No matter who they got, they're all under the shadow of Michael Jordan.
No, I understand that, but look at who they have. You got Zion Williamson, always hurt.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna I don't even know how much longer
right now, but he's been better this year than last year.
Well, he's been better since he came back from the injury. Yeah. You got Luka, who not to Luka's fault, maybe lucked up by getting traded to LA, but that's something that's gonna stay with him at least for the rest of this year. Of hey, the Mavs basically didn't want you, or Nico Harrison was drunk and did something crazy.
Yeah, and then that trade looking real bad right now.
Right, and then you got Jason Tatum, who everybody always
he worked
points
at
to.
Nike though.
Who?
Nico?
Yeah, Nico Harrison. Yeah, exactly.
Man, he worked at Nike.
I told you about some of this.
But then you got Jason Tatum, who everybody always says might not even be the best player on his own team.
He's the most boring athlete I've
So that's
ever
what I'm
seen.
saying is like Jordan brand as a brand, they haven't had anybody I feel like that can carry the mantle similar to a Michael Jordan since they had Melo and D Wade.
But
Those would be the only
I don't
two.
think it matters. I think no matter who they get, they're always gonna take a backseat. And this is what I was saying about Nike. The distinction is like they've had plenty of athletes. When you think of Nike, you think of the swoosh. When you think of Jordan brand, you think of Michael Jordan. And I think that's the key distinction. And I even said there's not one thing that's new from Jordan brand that anybody's excited about. This is a milestone year that your Jordan 40 is supposed to drop. You ain't heard a fucking peep about it, but people know about them 11. I see more discussion about what 11s we're getting versus what them Jordan 40 is going to look like. What they're going to pull from. I think what shoe are they supposed to be pulling from for that?
Cement 4 is dropping this year.
No, I'm talking about the Jordan 40 is supposed to pull from which signature shoe. The 38s dropped, the 39s dropped up the 9. So the 40 is supposed to pull from the 10s.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It should be the 10s.
Yeah, so I'm like, but nobody gives a fuck because it's been so much hit and miss with any new Jordan that everybody just focuses on the retros. Whereas with Nike, to your point, they can have a couple bad years, but they always come back with something, like you said, those Pegasus. I think that's going to be something that people are going to be looking forward to for the next year or two. And Lord knows what they're going to drop after that. But they got so many different things because they can lean on their Air Maxes. They can lean on their basketball category. They got so many things they can lean on to where they're not dependent on one thing. Like Jordan brand, it's the retros, and that's basically it. Like, the retros are giving that brand life. And once people get bored of that, because there's only so many times you can retro the black cement 3s and the Chicago 1s, to Gruel's point. You can't keep dropping them every 4 years because now they're going to.
Yeah, but at the same time, wouldn't you say, though, if you had a more stylish signature athlete on Jordan,
it would help.
But that's what I'm saying is I feel like the people that
give him a good
Michael
shoe,
Jordan basically signs off on to have represented his brand. To me, it's just like the same as him being a GM.
But you had Chris Paul was a big enough athlete to where you could have did something with him. Y'all gave him every shitty shoe imaginable.
He ain't lying.
Honestly, what they should do, not to say that they shouldn't give any of these dudes a signature shoe, just make better designs.
Oh.
But like, if you talk about continuing the retro line, like there should be a Tatum 4 or a Luka 5 and a Chris Paul 3, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Rui get his own shoe, and I don't even know why he got that, other than just because
he got that Japanese.
Oh, you know that?
I know that's why.
But I think, but I feel like because I was about to say it before. I feel like you need to keep the retro thing going. So I don't know. It could be opening night. Or it could be Michael Jordan's birthday. Whoever playing that day, y'all hoop in Michael Jordan silhouette, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it could be your PE, right? So Paulo can help him some Orlando Magic 3s or whatever. Like, that's your paying homage or opening night. And release some of those PEAs year. So we can have an opening night pack. Whereas whoever's on the Jordan brand that year, you have your own Jordan 4 PE releasing to the public. That's how you get people's like
stop.
So I mean, just
you giving them the free game.
But I'm just saying, like,
you're gonna be mad as fuck too when they drop them.
Yeah, so I mean,
we know you gonna go back and tell them.
Yes,
right.
Now he gonna timestamp it for him. Send it from a WhatsApp number. But like those, I mean, you did it with the CP313s. Like to be honest with you, a couple of them Jordan 5s were really mellow 5s that were all color suede. You know what I'm saying? So you could have gave us Oklahoma Blake Griffin 11s. You know what I'm saying? The white and bird. Like there's things you could have done. Like Drake got a ton of PEs from Jordan brand that were dope. He got 16s. He got some white and blue 17s. Like the high top ones, not the low top, the high top ones. Like there's stuff you could have dropped and gave the people to fit in between that. You can do opening night stuff. You can do what they call Bloodline, which is your OG stuff, and then you can do PE stuff. There's different tree branches you can do to kind of keep it going, and it takes some of that stress onus off of your designers so they can be a little bit more creative. Instead of having to punch out so many things, you can say, hey, I'm giving you 7-8 months to give me 3 solid colors.
I know somebody's gonna be happy to hear you say that. But
so like those are the things. So,
but no, like okay, so I got 2 quick things. I'm trying to think which one should I go to first. Okay, real quick, Reebok, dog. Okay, retros. Now they're not the only brand that does this shit, but I just feel like I understand because of the position they're in why they do it, but I also think it doesn't help long term what they're doing. So like they retro the Irisons, right? They take out so much of the tech that makes those shoes great. To the point where it's like
the shoes now you can't even recognize the
ain't
shoe.
Even comfortable no more.
I mean, I'm an advocate Reebok retro buyer, right? Because I grew up the Answer 3s where he wore on the cover of 2K, right? The white and red ones and all that. So like I remember that shoe. So I'm gonna go back and grab it, but I definitely gonna have to put an insole on that boy. Cause like why don't you put the tech back inside the shoe, dog? Like it's a DMX.
That was the selling point besides that.
The shoe was $40 more than what it came out with in like 25 years ago.
The tech was 100% the selling
I'm saying
point.
like if you gonna charge him more for the shoe, now at least put the tech in there,
They
dog.
was challenging Nike with the air. Listen,
the DMX 10 was arguably some of the most
comfortable dog.
It gave when I
mean, you can say that there. What was the other? The Headlight?
Because I know what they're gonna say.
If them two was on a song together, Brooklyn's Finest was Zoom Air, but dog Jay-Z was Nike DMX.
You know what they're gonna say?
Him a run for
I already know
they're
gonna
say they can't afford it.
No, not even that. Because I was having a conversation with Nightwing. First thing they're gonna say is, well, back then, they had to refund so many shoes because the DMX, the air, because it was going through those different air chambers, it was constantly bursting and all this other stuff. Okay, my response to that would be, these shoes are more lifestyle. Anybody really hooping in Irisons like that?
First thing I was gonna say.
So you ain't gotta worry about that. Put them shits back in.
That's what she said.
Because if there was anything that was gonna bring people back to you, is that, because I was so excited to get those Answer 4s, the Georgetown joints.
Those are the ones you posted?
Yes.
Those are the two. Those are the Answer 4s. The patent leather ones.
Those are Answer 4s.
The patent leather Answer, those are Answer 1s.
Those are Answer 1s.
I got the.
You're right.
I have the original pair from. I have the original pair from '97. I have them in my closet.
You're right. I was so excited to get those, and when I got them, I could not have been more disappointed.
Said never gave you niggas money.
Them shits are a shell of themselves, and it's like, I want to say I got the first retro, of the black and gold joints, and just a comparison of the first retro, it was just like sad.
I have the original pair from '97. I had bought off of eBay for like super cheap. I was like, that's why I had to go back and get them. Like I had to get them cleaned up. Like I have them. I haven't worn them. I bought them for like 3-4 years ago, but I have the original pair from '97, and it's like, this is what I remember. And this, you probably remember this, but they retro the Run DMX 10s because my dad had them. The white and blue and cherry colorway and that white, blue, green, and Volt colorway.
Yeah.
Those were comfortable. And even the retros for 2014, because I actually got a picture on my Instagram page wearing them for like back then. Yeah. Super comfortable. So it's like, you can't say you can't do it because literally 10, 12 years ago,
you did it already.
You did it.
Yeah.
I mean, but 10, that's a long time, especially for Reebok. I mean, they'd have been passed
but
around.
what he's saying is like, you already took it out the basketball shoe. You put it back in the running shoe.
No, I agree. I'm just
you
saying,
can't say it didn't work. It's going to pop because the retro one still works to this day.
They're like, because I don't know financially how good or bad they are, but I mean, it's Reebok. My thing is,
they got Shaq money now. He paid, ain't he?
Yeah.
Shaq and the fool.
I feel like a lot of times they do these signings, and I think they think people are going to come back because of a personality. Not necessarily. That might work once in a blue moon. That doesn't necessarily like Reebok. You got to still put out good product.
Message.
You know what I'm saying? Like you still have to, and that's been my big like case in point. They signed Cardi B, thought that was gonna get them life. Like Rihanna. Now, yeah, Rihanna brought awareness to the brand, but guess what they did after they signed her? They dropped some good product for the ladies, right? And that's why that thing had life. You can't just be like, we got Cardi B and then, Adidas did the same shit. We got Beyonce. And then didn't even fucking, like they made this shit hella limited.
That's a biggest problem with that. Could have sold way more. But I think, too, Beyonce and Rihanna are a little bit more hands-on and care about what their name attached to. It wasn't just a check for them.
I would agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I think what Reebok's problem is, I think because of the position they're in, they're scared to invest in themselves.
But if you even just brought back the tech,
they won't guarantee,
and then let people brought back the tech, start signing a couple college schools, let them hoop in them. Then kids are gonna start giving to some wear testers to wear the hoop in. So these are really comfortable, and then start to get your motion back. It's gonna be like a 5 to 7 year process. And then what if you actually, when you sign Angel Reese, you gave her an answer 3 or a question in her Chicago Sky colorway, which would have been dope. And it's actually comfortable.
No, they give her that takedown Iverson?
The little the TJ was that TJ Watt Iverson.
Yes.
Like you could have gave her that and she actually hooped in it.
It's called the Engine 1 or something like that.
It was like a workout shoe, but like the question colorway. But if you gave her that shoe and it's actually comfortable and she hooped it in the Chicago line colorway.
Well, I mean, you could take it a step further. She could have a signature shoe. Not saying that she shouldn't have a signature shoe.
Yeah.
But give her that run of every couple of weeks a different PE Iverson.
Eddie Jones. It's formulas out there. You just don't want to.
Now you bring the awareness to the brand.
But these brands, they want like guarantees, and nothing is guaranteed.
No. Yeah, but I feel like the only thing
and you can't ask for something to be guaranteed when you've been sidelined or you ain't been putting your best foot forward for 15 years.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they've been banking on. That's why. Like once again, Allen Iverson is like. They want guarantees, so they play it safe. Okay, well, we know Iverson's move, so we're going to do that. But you know what? It's too much money to put the tech in there, so we're going to take that out. But you still look like you got on Iverson. Like, yeah, I still have the shell of Iverson on, but it's not the soul of it is missing.
And you're not in the predicament to be like Jordan Brand, where you strip some tech out and people be like, oh, this whack, but they still going to rock it for nostalgia reasons, as opposed to you haven't been on people's mind.
You're not Jordan.
When they go to buy your shoe, they're really giving you a chance. They're doing you more of a favor than you're doing them.
Yes.
So you need to build your best foot forward with that. And Shaq got some shoes I've been looking for on eBay. I got a couple of my size, but I've been watching, like, he had some shoes when he was in Lakers that were Reebok. That white with the bluish purple you can bring back. And there's an Emmitt Smith shoe that had DMX technology that you have not brought back yet. That you can bring back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's things you can.
They better not be comparing themselves to Jordan, because Jordan is more of a status symbol. Reebok was never a status symbol to the degree that Jordan was.
And Reebok could have said, you know what, y'all had it, but guess who y'all got your sauce from? Guess who had it? Y'all took my flow. You know what I'm saying? Y'all took my flow and ran with it. We was number one before you found yourself, and you could kind of lean on that, like
could reinvent that stuff.
You can say who the tastemakers, who was the one before the one. Like you, so many campaigns you can run to play that.
He ain't lying.
You know what's crazy though? This kind of makes me think about the conversation we had about the Converse. It was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with our boy X, and because I just wanted to know, like, I just wanted his opinion about, like, why do I see brands dropping these inaugural colorways to new sneakers that are coming to market in the most horrible of colorways? Like, that shoe is like the embodiment of what I mean. Like, where you can, like, if you look hard enough at the silhouette, you can clearly see the potential, right, in that shoe.
Silhouette look nice.
The silhouette looked nice.
That
but
clay
for that,
color?
that thing looked like it got whittled out of wood. Like, why is that the first glimpse that we see of that shoe?
Why? Because them, that's why.
And his, he was saying these athletes, like back in the day, right? If it's a new Jordan, it's coming in a Bulls colorway.
Yeah, Chicago color first.
Right. And so he was saying this in like the old days, like these they have more say in the stuff, and so and I feel like sometimes their personal preference gets in the way of their own success, because a lot of times they want this color, but it doesn't do your shoe any favors. You know what I'm saying?
So I wonder, did Nigel had at it?
That's what I was about to say. Basically, the people who saying no to Nigel should be saying no to Shy, and the people saying yes to Shy should be saying yes to
or you know,
that's kind of like with that. Because I looked at that shoe too, and I'm like, plus he's really big into fashion, so he probably told them, I want a shoe that I can rock all the time. And just make me hoopable, like and make it basketball.
Make a PE then, but that should not be the first introduction.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm talking about the silhouette in itself. When I looked at the silhouette, I'm like, this look like a Mason Martingella shoe from like 5-7 years ago. It's just like a hoopable version, but I know he's big in the fashion, so they probably told him
the
like
shoe. Like I don't have a problem with the silhouette. It's just the color. It's like
the initial.
Terrible.
I don't understand. Yeah, why the initial color isn't in Thunder colors?
I'm like, dude, because here's the thing.
It don't have to be Thunder colors. Just give us a story. Like,
no, I think that should be
you only get one time to get your first shoe.
You know what? Because you know what? I agree with him as far as like the team colors, because at the end of the day, you're a business. You got to sell shoes. That's going to be a more palatable introduction. Not to say you can't drop other colorways. Like,
no, that's what I said. Yeah,
that should be the first introduction, because if you're a Thunder fan, whether you into sneakers or not, if you're a fan of Thunder, if you're a fan of him, you're going to get it because that's your team colors, right?
He ain't lying.
And so,
but you could have you could have went the pre-Heat route. Prime example, LeBron 8 first colorway. It was not the first Miami Heat. It was not a Miami Heat colorway. It was a South Beach, like where his city was. Like it was more of a storytelling colorway. Yeah. That's what they do, the pre-Heat colorways. So I'm thinking you like the Kobe shoe that he wore, the Kobe 7 opening day shoe. Was like yellow, black. It was like something. It wasn't.
You're talking about shoes that are further down the line. When they first dropped, they were getting like Laker colorways, Cavs colorways.
But I'm saying you gotta take a little bit with these kids. I'm trying to meet in the middle. Like go back to 2012 where we drop a storytelling colorway, but kind of theme it to your city. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying that should be the second or third colorway we see, not the first.
I get that, but I think the other part is like, his shoe didn't drop till halfway in the season anyway.
Who?
Shay.
But also too, people don't rock the jerseys like we did to this day. Like we went out and bought the Browns, the Kobe's, the Jordan. They don't buy those jerseys like they do now. They even buy the older jerseys. So now I understand this. I think the second colorway should have been an OKC. The first colorway should have been a dope colorway story, a little bit of storytelling that people can grab and rock right now. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's just my personal take. Seeing that he's a big fashion
I just
person.
think it's a safer bet. It's like, okay, cool. Like, because it makes sense. Whereas, like, you don't have to explain it. It's like, okay, he plays for OKC, so it makes sense for an OKC colorway to come out.
I'm not even saying it had to be white, blue, and orange. It could just be white and blue. You know, just white and blue, white and orange.
It ain't gotta look like the mascot wears it, but you know, like I agree.
Basic, not necessarily basic, but even with that, it could have had a story being told. And I mean, you could have put raindrops or something on there to make it feel like it was Thunder related. Like
that clay mode that they gave him.
Yeah, it just does, to me that's one of those things where it's like, again, how we keep saying like with Nike and Jordan, it's like it's almost like you tried, but you didn't really try.
Yeah, it's just like you got to understand, like we still got to sell product, and like I told him, I was just having a conversation. I'm like, once again, I'm not saying that athletes shouldn't have a say. It's your brand, it's your shoe. Of course, you should have a say. But I think there should also be an acknowledgement of, okay, like we still have to sell products. So while this is dope to me personally, in the grand scheme of things, is this going to sell? Is this going to reach other people? And that clay, I mean, if it sells like crazy, then I mean, I'll shut the fuck up. But
what color was Devin Booker? What color was the first D book? Wasn't it like
there's
orange.
nothing that's gonna say
it was
that
orange.
shit.
It was like a desert orange.
There's nothing that's gonna say that shit.
But what I'm saying, at least that was somewhat like Suns.
But they didn't even sell the shoe. The first time that shoe came out, it came out of Miami. They didn't even
sell
it in Phoenix. They didn't even sell it in Phoenix.
So where did has the SGA shoe even come out?
I don't know, but I think like this color, they could have saved this color for like Ferris Passion Week or New York Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Since he's bigger than that, he can debut there with like a fit. Like
you know what? They could have dropped a white and black pair that allowed you to highlight the features of that shoe. Like you mean black and white, cool. I see it. I can't wait for more colorways.
But you gotta think he's a risk taker, fashion, hooping wise. So he's gonna be like, nah. I mean, I'm just letting you know that's what. I'm fine with you. That would have been cool. Yeah. But I just think that.
But I kind of feel like he wouldn't have said much anyway. It's been his first signature shoe. So I'm even thinking from that aspect, he probably just been like, if these are the options that are available, I'm gonna just choose whatever the best option that's available is, rather than, well, hey, here's free reign.
They gave us free reign because Draymond Green. First of all, they gave Draymond Green a shoe, and then they let him do whatever they want to it. So they allowed him. That. And so Shaq probably had a green light to do it, and he's the only person holding Converse up as we currently speak.
But my thing is, if you Converse, it behooves you to put your best foot forward, and for this to be his first signature shoe, the first iteration that we're all going to see, I think there was a better colorway and color blocking that y'all could have came like that shoe, because it's like you just looking at it and like you gotta like find the features on there because it's just
the shoe looked like tofu.
You know what? I really think this is what they could do.
I mean,
if I was a VP, if I was a VP or CEO, I'll say
this is brick by brick.
Nike,
C's taking notes, right?
Nike, Jordan Brand. So they start bringing the iPad. Nike, Jordan Brand, Converse, right? We taking the creative restraints off, right?
Yeah.
Y'all go crazy. Whoever come up with whoever department wins sneaker of the year, y'all get this bonus and bragging rights. Whoever has the highest selling shoe or had the most colorways on social media impressions, you get let them have some type of onus and take pride in what they do. Nah, don't come out with nothing crazy, disrespectful to people's religions and races and stuff like that. But as far as creatively, just take the reins off and let them go, because guess what? You're going to see the person you're paying every year, their full potential. The consumer is going to get the best product you have to offer. The research and development team are going to say, let's try this. Let's try a Zoom Air. Let's put Zoom Air inside the Shock, so it actually compresses and work even better. You allow them to do that, and therefore you can smoke their competition because no one else is in that predicament to take them financial risk and creative risk and do that.
You talking about Nike?
I'm saying that's what they could do.
No, but I mean that leads to, because now it makes me think about LeBron, and he had 100 colorways of the one shoe. And I think that could also be a detriment too, because you're not oversaturating the market.
No, I'm saying release. I'm saying as far as design and colorway. If you come out, you say they have 20 dope colorways, not drop all of them. Just say, okay, we got 20 dope ones. Y'all smoke this.
Give us the hottest 10.
We're gonna take 10.
Yeah. And
then we're gonna tuck these other 10, and then we're gonna spin the block on them when they come retro.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You are a fucking idiot.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Or shock release.
You know what I'm saying? You could do that
Yeah.
in that essence where you now have dope stuff. Or once a year, we'll have a little like they did with LeBron shoe that we never got.
Oh.
Once a year, we had a tournament. We'll let the people pick which shoe they come out.
LeBron watch.
Yeah.
And what did they pick? They picked
the ring ceremony.
The ring ceremony, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then didn't they also pick the 2K shoe?
No, that was just that shoe.
We ended up getting those. I remember the Purple Zoom generation. We did eventually get that.
So they gave us every shoe that lost except the shoe that won.
Yeah.
Elbow LeBron 2s was on there. Watch the Throne 9s was on there. Purple Zoom
to
generation.
This day, I don't know how to watch the Throne 9s.
Which ring ceremony was that? That was
the 10.
The 10.
Yeah. It was the gold pair with the sparkles on.
That's just another example of why some people shouldn't vote.
Get him out of here. Get him out.
But I'm saying, you had people who weren't LeBron fans voting, so that skewed the, but kind of reminiscent of previous elections. But you could have had once a year let the fans decide.
We should have stormed Nike.
Which shoe that? How about for Christmas and December we're gonna do the little Nike's thing. We're gonna let people decide which shoe come out for Christmas. Now you got people emotionally invested. Now you got all those type of things. You know what I'm saying? And also, too.
That's how you bring individuality back, because now everybody has a voice.
And if you don't know what shoe to drop after that, you can look at the shoe that went in second and third place.
And drop that.
Speaking of which, this made me think about it, too. Going forward, and I'm not saying no specific names and where I got this from, but, they're looking to extend the window on certain silhouettes. which is why you look at the new KD 18 and why it looks damn near like the 17. They're just looking to extend the window on those designs to give themselves more time to come up with newer ones. So that's why a lot of these shoes, from what I've been told, have been. This is the conversation I be having with people, because it's like I do try to be fair to the brands, right? So like if y'all give me information about because it's like, okay, y'all have a point of view too, right? So what I try to do is try to take the credible points of views from the industry versus the ones from the community and try to blend them so that we have a nuanced conversation, right? Because it's easy as a consumer to be just mad at everything. Case in point, like when we first started this podcast, I didn't know that it took like 18 months to 2 years to go from concept to design, right? I don't know if I had a time frame in my mind, but I think a lot of people kind of operate they talk about a shoe this week and then it comes out next week. It's so it could be up to 2 years. So once I realized that it was like it took 2 years for a shoe to go from concept to retail, I became a little bit more forgiving, because when you gotta like forecast what's gonna be hot 2 years from now, like fashion changes on a dime sometimes. So you could have all these ducks set up in a row for the shoe to release, and then all of a sudden things have shifted and pivoted to something else. So now this ain't even hot no more, right? So I became a little bit more forgiving when it came to that. And so when they tell me stuff, it's like, okay, cool. So like, when they told me like, okay, we're trying to extend the windows of these signature shoes so that designers don't feel overwhelmed.
My fingers hurt.
Oh, well, now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty. Anybody else's fingers hurt? I didn't think so.
Because God, they drop in a million different colorways, different. You got so many different signature sneakers now, different athletes, more so than you used to. Like, because now you got Ja, you got Giannis, you got Sabrina, you got Asia, you got LeBron, you got KD, you got Devin Booker, you got who else? Paul George don't have a shoe no more. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Anyway, you got all these shoes going on, and you got so many different colorways. Like back in the day, Jordan had 4 colorways that dropped that year, 3 or 4. Now you got 20.
Yeah, more.
No, like on an average year.
I think
like back when Jordan
so
played.
Like 12s, he had taxis, cherries, playoffs, flu games. What's the other one? Obsidians.
Yeah.
And then
there's like 5 colorways for that.
Local. And then the 13s. The 13s he had.
But yeah, once you got to the 12s and the 13s, but you talking about the ones. Well, the ones
had a lot of colors.
They dropped. They had a lot of colors. They had a lot of colors.
Yeah, 2s didn't have a lot of colors. 3s had
3 or 4.
Yeah, they had about 4 or 5.
4s had 4, about 4.
5s had about.
So it's about on average about 4, but
yeah, but 13s was the ones where you had playoffs, cherries, the white and black ones y'all call it. You got games. You had Flints. You had the black and red ones. Then you can start getting the chutneys. Then we got the low top black and blue ones.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forget it was one more. We got a white and red low top.
Had a low top playoff.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, but I mean, it's way more now when you got so many more signature athletes, and so it can be a little taxing on the designer. So I get it, but
all they gotta do, is you got Nike by you. Like, just put those shoes on there. Like, bam, there you go. Design. You don't have to design as many anymore.
That too, and also too, dial back, because some shoes don't even get it. Like, it's almost like they gotta think about releasing shoes as like artists, like record labels do releasing music. I got 2 bangers, but I gotta let Big Pimpin' breathe for 4 months to get its full effect before I come back with like whatever joint come after that. Give It to the Game or whatever, Parking Lot Pippin'. Like you gotta let this stuff breathe. When you drop this shoe and then come back, people money's a little tighter. So by the time they come back to get that shoe, is another one. So they're gonna buy the latest one. So you did the shoe that you dropped first, a disservice.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's an interesting conversation to be had. Hopefully we can pick up on it on the next episode. This is episode 332?
Something like that.
332. So shout out to everybody. Make sure, like I said, you follow us on social media. Follow our YouTube channel. Subscribe, ring that bell. We'll see you guys next week. We out. Peace.